So welcome to another review as Fred. Today we're looking at the Just Look at Ancient Cities. Now this book is by Judith Crosher. Now it's also from Macdonald Educational, and this book was made of course to educate the kids on history and ancient cities. Now the way I got to read this book is because my brother was cleaning out his room and then he found this book. He actually had gotten the book when his library was closing all the way back in 1998. This is 2015 when I'm making this video, so you know, it's really old, and he took it out. It looked very interesting. It didn't look like it would take very long to read because the font and everything is very large. And so I thought I'll just give it a look. And, you know, don't let the fact that this is a kid's book put you off. It is very interesting and has a lot of information, which I must say a lot of deeper books actually make very hard to understand. This one gives you that introductory level, but the information is still really interesting and somewhat rare sometimes. So let's get into it. Now the only con I can think about in this book is this one thing whereby the information given for Greece is that it doesn't say specifically, but if you just read this part as is, you would think that every state in Greece was a democracy, which it wasn't. Actually, democracies were very much the exception. And so this one part here, the information is somewhat misleading. Alright, so then that's the only con. Now there might be other so-called minor misleading facts, but I did not spot it. The first and most important pro of this book is the amount of detail and information that this book can pass on to you in such a clear fashion. I mean, I read many books that are much more detailed and everything like that, and you will have to read the paragraphs 2 or 3 times to actually get it. With this one, not only is it clear, it even gives you like illustrations, such as over here. It tells you how they took papyrus, and you know, you learn interesting facts. Like I remember hearing about carbon dating, but I could never remember it. Alright, but when I read this book, I finally got it. You know, it's right here. You know, carbon dating, to just give you an example, I'm not even looking at this paragraph. It's carbon 14, and it basically disappears at the rate of when something dies at 5,700 years and divides by half. So when you die after 5,700 years, it's at, for example, 50% of that original, and then another 5,700 years, it basically is 25% of the original. You know, and I learned this just by reading it because it's so clear. You know, and this thing about this book is so much information that is new and refreshing, which doesn't bog down itself to make it complicated, because it does what it's supposed to do, which is get you interested and pass the first initial general information so well. In fact, even things like the name Pharaoh. What does Pharaoh mean? Pharaoh basically means great home. And trust me, I watched several documentaries on Egypt and they have not said this, and yet this book passes on this information like that. And also building out on that, you can see that a lot of the information in here is not the kind of thing which you expect from some kid's book. You know, like I remember working in a library and I saw a kid's book whereby they were talking about the Spartans, yet the person in the cover was wearing a Roman helmet. You know, absolutely horrible, misleading book that probably won't teach a kid much. But this one's so different. Like, look at this. You know, look at this graph over here and this map. You know, this is information that's not totally general. It's actually detailed information that you might not even get from some more detailed books that were meant to teach adults. And of course, as you can see, a lot of the text and the pictures are very, very interesting, very detailed. You know, like I give you an example. Look at these illustrations. These are drawings of the demons and everything, which the people will have buried because they believe that you had to bury these evil spirits so that they will, you know, the sickness and everything will go away. And you have these archaeological pictures, and the pictures are very detailed, they're very clear. I can tell you from reading it, the language itself is also very to the point and very factual, yet it doesn't read like an academic book totally, whereby it's totally boring. The language is actually quite interesting, and also these illustrations which are so well drawn. Look at this picture here, and you can actually see that they actually even have this part of the illustration that points out how the Assyrians actually tortured people. So, you know, so this book is not just totally like by the by for kids, and everything is whitewashed in a way. You know, they actually give you historical information, and so many of these things makes you do the most important thing that a history book, especially an introductory book like this, which is more than most introductory books for kids, they make you instantly want to look up more of this information. You know, you basically, from this starting point, it drags you into wanting to find out more on the internet or so on, which I think it succeeds fantastically at. I mean, if you can find this series, please do, you know, and you can tell the dedication that the people who made this book basically had, because if you can see the end of this book right here, all right, they would put all the where you can go, who you can look for to go to become a, let's say, a junior archaeologist and all that. So, you know, it was 1998 that he got this. I think this is a fantastic book. If I could find more, to be honest, I'll be interested to read it, because the information is so good and so quick and it's so easy to find inside the book. It's so clear too. So, in conclusion, fantastic book. If you can find it, look it up for your kids especially. Thank you very much. Till next word.